No Charlies were wounded in the making of this video. Okay, well, maybe a little bit, but never on camera. I know almost nothing about wood carving, but I have watched a lot of short videos of people doing it lately, so I feel ready. Here is what I've observed, which may or may not be true. Ugh, dirt. There seems to be two basic wood carving categories, I think. There's like carving a 3D object in the hand, which I tend to think of as whittling, but I wonder if that's specifically an American term. I also wonder if that has like a specific definition or method. Like, is whittling technically different than wood carving, or a subcategory? And then there's carving a design into a flat surface. So basically you've got like shk, 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 or tap, 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 because I think an onomatopoeia. I have also observed that both of these techniques look hella satisfying. Again, because of the sound, the ASMR. So this is one of those things that I've been wanting to try for ages, but I wanted to try it as cheaply as possible, because you never know, I might end up hating it. Feels unlikely. There's very few crafts that I have ever hated. When going cheap, there is nothing better than free, so I just gathered some wood out of the yard. Are these good woods for carving? I'm also gonna throw in some wood scraps that I have from my absolutely overflowing wood scrap bin. We'll start with these, but I got more. For tools, I did not go free, but I did go small and few. I watched this video by Nadav Art and Wood, which I will link below, and I figured, yeah, I don't really need an axe yet. We're starting small. But I did get the two other tools that he recommended, a sloyd knife and a hook knife. Those came with some upkeep tools, and I think this kit was like $30 if I recall correctly. I have no idea what the end goal is here beyond try the thing. You often see carving a spoon as a beginner project. Like when I've done workshops in the area, I have seen spoon carving classes a couple times. And I did meet a guy who said that he sometimes hosts spoon carving brunches, which sounds delightful. Knives and mimosas, the perfect combination. But I don't know if I'm gonna push myself that far, or if I'm gonna try something entirely different, or if I'm gonna end up making 12 spoons because I love it so much. Let's just try it. Actually, I paused to have lunch first, so let's also pause here for a quick word from this video's sponsor. Handcrafts like wood carving are, of course, wonderful for getting you away from ye olde doom scroll, but sometimes you're on a bus. You're in a waiting room. You're in bed. You can't necessarily whip out a knife and start littering the area with wood chips. When I find myself reaching for my phone, but I really want to stay off of social media, I can opt to instead have a little fun and exercise my brain a bit with this video's sponsor, June's Journey. June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game set in the 1920s, with June Parker, amateur detective, as our daring protagonist, seeking out clues to help solve her sister's murder. The graphics are beautiful, the main gameplay is really stimulating in a similar way to a jigsaw puzzle for me, and the story has so many twists and turns as you progress. There's also a bucket load of side quests, special seasonal events, extra stories about the many characters, and an entire island of your own to decorate with so many fun buildings and trees and crops and animals. I'm very proud of my train in particular. You can download June's Journey by clicking the link in the description below or scanning the QR code on screen. June's Journey is available on iOS and Android devices, as well as on PC. Thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring this video, and now, let's whip out the knife and try some carving.
Oh, it doesn't seem that sharp.
It doesn't seem that sharp?
I'm probably not doing it the right. Ooh.
No. Have you ever, watched wood carving? Is this not what your algorithm shows you?
I thought it would go a lot butterier than that.
Well, we're using redwood, which is a pretty hard wood.
Oh, okay. Do the other one then.
These are all redwood.
Oh.
You could do a stick.
I'll do a stick.
Here, use a stick.
This is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done with this.
Okay. Thanks for visiting.
But that was fun.
Yeah, isn't it? Oh yeah.
That's how I expected it to
Ooh, because this is nice and green wood.
go. Pretty wet too.
Yeah, I wanted to get one that was still alive because I'm not sure how the other ones are gonna carve. Ooh, that feels nice.
It does. Okay, well, let me know when you cut your fingers.
Will do.
Bye, Bucky. Did you cut yourself?
No. Ooh. Okay, first impressions. It is very satisfying. Also, it just creates such a smooth texture. Watching videos of it, I was always like, how is it not splintery? Like, how is that something that ends up smooth rather than being cracked and splintery? But it's not, it's so smooth. Definitely gonna work some muscles in this hand that I have not previously worked. I'm already feeling the burn. So this is going to, I don't know, either build some muscles or just plain old lead to cramping. I'm guessing this is not the prime wood to be carving. I usually hear basswood as the thing people are carving. I'm assuming generally you want to start with softer woods. I'm assuming redwood is a quite hard wood. But that's okay, because we're just testing things. I still found it to be decently fine to carve. Taking the bark off of this stick, that is very satisfying. And I'm currently only doing the away from me cuts for safety's sake, because I have not looked up technique or anything yet. Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to be, oof. See, this is getting kind of hard. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be angling the blade a certain way, because there's definitely certain cuts that go smoother than others. And I'm like, is that a different part of the blade I'm using or how I'm angling it? Who knows at this point, because I haven't gotten anyone's professional opinion. I also didn't want to try this yet, or like actually try it, because I'm not at all sure how you're supposed to hold that. So at this point, it's time to start looking up actual information. Let's learn some stuff and apply it. Here's a very dead stick. How does it respond to this? This does seem like the epitome of whittling, to just be sitting here chopping up a stick. Not gonna lie, y'all, it's one of those things that like I start doing it and I just want to do more. Like, yeah, my hand is hurting. But this is fun for some reason. I made a pencil, kinda. I really like this so far. I should probably do this outside, but it's weirdly cold outside right now. It's cold inside too, which is why I'm wearing a blanket shawl. Change into something a bit warmer, because seriously, why is it so freaking cold outside? I found a video on 8 types of cut and practiced each one several times, starting with the rough cut, which is what I was doing naturally without any guidance in the first place. So rough, so fun. Then there's the push cut and sweeping or J cut, both which use your opposite thumb for this controlled slide through the wood. I had some trouble figuring out hand positioning here. It definitely didn't come as naturally, but I will keep working on that. A stop cut goes straight into the wood, and then you do push cuts up to it to get this clean ledge. I actually found the push cuts easier when utilizing a stop cut for some reason. And then I worked on a safe paring cut. This seems super reckless and injury-inducing when you just watch someone do it, because that blade seems to be flying without any control. But in the video I was watching, which I'll also link below, he taught how to keep your thumb out of the path of the blade and then squeeze your hand to induce movement. So even when the blade moves super fast here, your thumb is not actually in its path. I ended up really liking this cut as I got the hang of it. I felt very in control with it. The other cuts were V and, I've already forgotten, but stuff that goes more directly into the wood, which wasn't working for me super well, likely because, again, this is redwood. 'Tis hard. Which made me realize I might already need to be doing some blade maintenance. Same channel had some great info on that. I'll just link the whole channel actually. He says he strops the blade like every 30 minutes, more if using a hardwood. Yeah, so I should probably do that. Stropping isn't the same as sharpening. You use a piece of leather and this conditioner and then run the blade across it, and if you're me and you have no idea what you're doing, you question whether this is making any difference at all. But it did seem to make a difference when I did some more cuts afterward. Or possibly I'm imagining it. I really have no idea. Like, how do you measure the sharpness of a blade other than by vibes? I find it interesting how so often trying a new craft, or even just craft in general, is boiled down to results, focused mainly on results. What are you making, people ask? What is the end product going to be? It's much more rare for somebody to ask, what are you doing? What is the process you are currently undertaking? I know that's super pedantic of me, but I do think that this is a true reflection of the typical way we consider crafts. We tend to focus on the end result rather than the motions that you make to get there. If you're trying something new, it's often packaged, quite literally, as learn to make this thing, rather than just learn this skill. Want to try wood carving? Make a spoon, make a bowl, make a bird, make a bear. There are kits to get you started in any craft you can imagine. Kits that produce a final thing, so you can sigh with a sense of accomplishment and say, hey, I made that and now I'm done. And to be clear, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. Anything that gets people making is good, and if that's focusing on a specific end creation more than the act of creation itself, cool, that's fine. I just often find myself really enjoying the physical act of creation in many different forms, and wood carving is now one of them, yay! The motion, the muscles used, the textures you're touching, the smells of your tools and supplies, the repetition of an action, and the slow change it enacts can all be so special and pleasant and worth focusing on. So I just want to throw out there that you can try a craft without making a thing. You can do random embroidery stitches on a piece of fabric without actually creating a certain design. You can knit or crochet randomly to simply experience the movement and get familiar with it. You can carve chunks off of a very hard stick of magnolia from your backyard just to enjoy that sliding motion of the knife and the smooth texture it produces. And then you get obsessed and immediately go buy yourself some actual basswood because you really want to know how it feels to carve softer wood. I also got a different brand of knife. We are officially past the trying it for cheap stage. I started doing more research, like seriously. I sat down and spent like an hour just reading a bunch of very conflicting reviews of about a dozen different carving tool brands. And my takeaway from all of that is that the original knife that I got might not be that sharp, or might potentially benefit from being sharpened. And since I do not want to invest in sharpening tools and learning how to use them right now, though rest assured, that is coming up. It's next on the list of this exploration. Oh my God. But I figured that I would start by just comparing a different brand as I'm comparing the more traditional wood. Absolutely should have seen that coming. Well, that seems a little ambitious. They're like, hey, you seem like a beginner. Do you want to carve a beaver in overalls? No, not yet. First up, let's try the old knife on the new wood. Oh. I didn't even get in there properly, but it was already such a change. Yeah, that's real different, y'all. Now let's try the new blades on the new wood. Oh, oh, okay, yup, that's not that sharp. Or possibly it's just not like the right blade shape or something. I don't know stuff about this. This is a totally different experience. Between the knife and the wood, this is what I was like seeing in videos. The knife just cuts in and takes off a chunk of wood. Crazy! What about these different ones? Oh, so this is better for like getting a little chip of it out, I think. Y'all, I'm so excited about this. Oh, this guy seems to do better at like sliding along the surface. Huh. Okay, I do feel like I should actually give this hook knife a go now that I've got softer woods. I did notice watching some videos of it that people were like choked up on it down here. They weren't holding it up here and scooping stuff. It was like, nah, you gotta get right in here. This one is a little more nerve-wracking to me though because it goes very towards the thumb. I'm not quite getting like the position my hand is supposed to be in to make this blade work. Or am I just trying to go too deep? I have since observed that some other carving people that I follow use very different tools, which again, I'm not gonna do now, but this is like maybe what I should try next. There was somebody I was watching who was doing a lot of like forward carving, but not so much that you have to go tap, 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 but it's the kind of U-shaped carving tool that you carve very like forward like this. And that makes a lot of sense to me. Like with leverage, with being able to keep that up for a good chunk of time. I think there's something very appealing about the more whittling style, having it literally in your hands, and it's something that is very attractive to me. It feels very satisfying to carve something in the hand like this, whereas the forward motion one, it tends to be more of like, you need to secure this piece somehow with a vise or something, and then you're kind of hands off because your hands are both on the tool. Does this make sense? It's like different feelings to different tools and different methods, and I do really appreciate the whittling kind of feel, which is why I wanted to try that first. But yeah, I'm getting down a rabbit hole, and it's becoming more and more likely that I will be trying some different methods of carving in the future. Oh, that's so nice. But for now, to wrap up this little exploration of carving, I do want to try actually carving to a shape. I don't think I'm gonna go so far as a spoon yet, but if I can just follow a shape and make some sort of shaped thing, I feel like that will be accomplishing wood carving, you know? Can I tell you something totally unrelated while I carve this? Cool, thanks. So a while ago, I was reading Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver. Don't worry, this isn't about books. And I learned that monarch butterflies lay their eggs exclusively on milkweed plants because that's the only thing that the caterpillars eat when they hatch, which is possibly information that I also learned in school, but I have slept so many times since then. When we were planting stuff in the backyard, I saw some milkweed at the nursery and I was like, yes, totally, let's get that. It's actually a really pretty shrub. Since then, I've seen monarchs flittering around the milkweed, but the other day we were out there doing some yard work and Matt came running to drag me over to see a little caterpillar he had almost stepped on, but didn't. I picked it up with a leaf and started to put it on the kiwi vine, and then I realized that this must be a monarch caterpillar, so I started looking over the two milkweed plants, and y'all, caterpillars galore. They're all over the place, mostly really little right now, but there were a few bigger ones too. And while I was sitting there, the monarch butterfly that had been fluttering around for the last few hours landed on the plant, and I literally watched it lay an egg. It folded its wings, curled its butt under, and popped out one single egg and then flew away. But now that I knew what it looked like while laying eggs, I realized that's what it had been doing for the last few hours, just landing in various places on these two plants and laying eggs. And now we have a whole horde of caterpillars! Eee! Nature is amazing. I'm so freaking happy about this, and I just needed to gush about it. So, back to carving. I pretty quickly abandoned my drawing, first of all because I drew it on wrong, but also I just needed to make the whole thing round so it would hurt my hand less and so that I could see it as a round thing. I'm quickly learning, and I believe I learned this on a previous project too, though at the moment I can't remember what it was, that I have quite a bit of trouble visualizing shapes in this sculpting it down method rather than a building it up method. I honestly find that kind of exciting, because the visualization that's really helpful for sewing, seeing flat fabric as a 3D shape and how to make it into that shape, has always come somewhat sorta naturally for me on a light level. It's fascinating to be just really not good at this method of visualization and see what that means for learning the craft. Because when it comes to the basic and very literal motion of carving the wood, I freaking love it. You know how you get on social media and start scrolling and suddenly it feels like the ability to stop is out of your control and you just always have to scroll once more to see what's next even though you're telling yourself, no, close the app. Yeah, that's what carving is doing for me, only I'm totally okay with it. I sat here for a couple of hours whittling away at this piece of wood with no real idea of what I was doing or what it's going to be in the end, and every time one part of my brain was like, hey, my thumb is really hurting now, how about we go take a break? The other part of my brain did that whole, I can't even hear you style of ignoring and went right on carving. And this is why I find wood carving so satisfying. It's incredibly tactile, it's really enthralling just watching what happens, watching and feeling the piece of wood change shape in your hand. And it doesn't matter whether you're making something or not, it's just fun. One of the reasons I felt empowered, I guess, to finally try wood carving is that I found the artist Sophie from Grain and Knot on Instagram. I had seen a lot of whittling before and it looked like so much fun, but it was always whittling like an object, an animal, or at least a spoon. And that felt kind of intimidating to me because, as we've discovered, I struggle a bit with forming a shape like that. But Sophie's work is so much about the texture of the wood and like the shaping rather than a shape, if that makes sense. It was just super inspiring to me, and that's what made me go, yeah, I can totally try wood carving. I can just carve wood. I don't have to make a beaver wearing overalls. And I am so glad that I tried it. I've got a whole new set of calluses on my hands and I'm having a blast. I definitely want to keep going with this and expand the skill and maybe in the future try things like chip carving or relief carving or even Dremel carving. But honestly, I would also be happy to just keep randomly chipping away at pieces of wood. I made something that kind of looks like a snake. Both of these pieces are so enjoyable to feel, I guess. They kind of remind me of worry stones. Somebody gave me one of those where you're supposed to like use it as a fidget sort of thing. And these are very much the same. They're incredibly tactilely enjoyable to just like hold on to and feel. I also did make a spoon blank this morning. I was gonna try cutting it in half, like widthwise, to make two different spoon blanks, but I got bored of doing that, so I guess I'll just carve it down from here. I do think that I'm gonna have to get a new tool though, because like the hook knife that I got, one, I haven't been able to figure out how to use it, and two, it would be way too big for a spoon this small anyway, so I need some sort of gouging out tool if I want to finish the spoon. Don't worry about the blood on there. I barely nicked myself and didn't even notice. It just bled a lot. But yeah, I've literally started like, I don't know, like laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep and I'm picturing carving. I'm picturing the cuts and everything that I want to make the next morning. So this is a certain level of obsession, I guess. I also had a dream last night where I was in London for some reason. I don't know what that had to do with it, but I like walked into a store and they had a bunch of carving tools and stuff in the front and I was so excited. Yeah, I think this means I'm enjoying myself. Have you ever tried whittling or wood carving of any kind? Do you have any tips on which tools you think are best or how to visualize those 3D objects in a sculpting down method? I am obviously incredibly new at this, so I'd love some advice. And thanks again to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. Don't forget that you can download June's Journey for free by clicking the link in the description. Forbidden toasted coconut chips.